we'll show you today with this amazing team is that we started with insights about what people want in a home. Then we collaborated with a team, a multifaceted, multidisciplinary team on designing a home for the future that we think will address some of these needs. And really, that's innovation in action. And there's no one better to talk about that than Dennis Steigerwald.
All right, thank you, Terry. I'll tell you, all that data is a tough act to follow. And all that data is exactly why this partnership started, just over a year ago now. So Terry and I had a chance to connect at the Urban Land Institute's spring meeting in San Diego in March or April of 2022. And in that conversation, I had a lot of praise for the study and the work that they did on the first concept home, which is the Barnaby house they delivered with Garmin Homes in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I said to Terry, I said, I got a great idea. Just hear me out here. If you were to run a second set of concept homes, would you be willing to invite the Alliance in and share some of the things that we're working on? And she was enthusiastic about the concept and the idea there. And what we said was, let's look at the livability and the design nuance that comes from the consumer work that they've done. But let's tie that to the constructability for the industry. And with where the market's at, we really need to be focused also on the whole attainability underpinnings. So with that, our concept homes were born. And thank you for switching already, Betsy. That's great. So on this slide, we started first with that attainability piece. Let's really look at how we can solve for missing middle housing and bring that into our entire design charrette process. And when we talk about constructability, let's look at an industrialized construction approach. And this is something that we've had our fingers on the pulse on for years now, but we've also been running a working group specifically focused on this topic. So I said, let's extract some of the learnings from the working group, take some of the lessons learned, some of the opportunities that exist, and apply volumetric modular construction to the challenge that we're about to take on. Next slide, please. So what we did is we had the baseline of the first two waves of study, the third wave, which Terry just walked you through. And we took that, we overlaid it with the nuances of the buyers specific to the sites that we wanted to work on within the Pittsburgh market. And then as we took that and applied it, we looked at what were the guide rails of using the methodology and the materials that we wanted to incorporate into this project that would allow us to deliver both a for sale and a for rent home through this concept program. Next slide, please. So in typical Alliance fashion, we threw everyone in a minivan, flew them to Pittsburgh first, then threw them all into a minivan and ran around the Pittsburgh market to better understand the process, the people, and the products behind delivering a home using volumetric modular construction. So we had a chance to visit a few factories. We visited with a few finished projects. And through that exercise, we were really able to understand what could be done and how these solutions not only could apply actually in the Pittsburgh market, but how they have applications throughout the United States as a whole through vacant lot applications. If you'll jump to the next slide. So through that tour, we were able to take the three founding groups behind the American Home Study, overlay that with the four creative and inside groups that were part of the first two waves, and then bolted on or integrated our group of experts from the local market, which was SMI, EcoCraft, City Studios, a local architect, and Tangible Materials, along with a media partner, professional builder, to help us communicate this message to the world. So what you see here is the team that we've assembled to deliver on the first two concept homes that are coming out of the third wave of the study. If you wouldn't mind, Betsy, jump next. So now with the team assembled, it was time to gather and ideate. So we brought everyone together and connected the dots on the consumer nuances that were desired and the desires of those consumers, applied to the sites and the locations that we were working with, and truly understanding the guide rails, as I mentioned, or the kind of the rules to deliver these homes for these consumers following the methodology and the process that was volumetric modular construction specific to the partners we'll be working with in Western Pennsylvania. So through that process, we identified it, we worked on our sites and made sure that what we were going to design for this site, again, was applicable to other sites in Pittsburgh, as well as other sites around the United States so that we could share the model. Next slide. It was a competitive and collaborative process. We divided into teams, worked through various iterations of different approaches that we could take, and you could jump to the next slide to get a little bit more of that. And then ultimately what we came back with after a few days of being locked in a room together was we came out with some great friendships, stronger relationships, a better understanding of what it takes to deliver a home using this design build methodology of volumetric modular and industrialized construction. And then ultimately we landed at the final two concepts. If you can give me the next slide, that'd be great. Awesome, thank you. And where we landed was two homes. One I mentioned that would be for rent and another that were for sale. And taking into consideration what we talked about when we talk about missing middle housing typologies, the picket fence, which Ryan White's going to get into much more detail on, became a great understanding of how can we create two units that look like one and create a great home environment. And Ryan will dig into the details there. And then the other one was the 412, which allowed us to create a paired home, a paired townhome concept, which utilized, again, not only the sites that we had specifically selected, but could be leveraged on sites throughout the city of Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania, across the country. So that's how this whole thing was born and how the team came together. And Ryan, I'll leave it to you to run down the picket fence and share with everyone how we came about the design principles there.